Hi there, and welcome to another interview. Today I've got a fabulous guy with me called Rich Hall, who I met many years ago when MeetRx first sort of started up. And I'm going to ask Rich the same question I ask absolutely everybody. Hey, Rich, why did you become carnivore?
Because when I found it, it made sense to me. But well, really, I've been eating a heavy meat-based diet since 1999. Long before I heard of carnivore or anybody eating anywhere near that. I found the low carb, type of thing. I found the anabolic diet with Dr. Marvis Pasquale. It was kind of a cyclical. Weekends you would carb load, and then once you're fat adapted, of course. And it's supposed to work the same as, steroids. And it does work pretty well for some people. And it made sense to me at that time. And I was, at that time, very overweight. I was in good, wasn't like I was in poor health or anything, but I was 285 pounds, which is 100 pounds more than I weigh right at this moment. And I've been lighter and, carried, but that's where I stay pretty steady right now. So I found that, and I started doing the low carb, still mostly meat-based, 95%. But I found very quickly back then that I did way better without the carb load. So I really didn't, I would just standard 20 grams of carbs, and I did this for many, many years. Like I said, I started in 99. And I, prior to that, had done some, other low fat, lost some weight, lost tons of muscle, didn't feel good. Those didn't work for me. I did it for a year. I lost 60, 70 pounds, but I had done, the body fat test, the water plunge one. It's supposed to be pretty accurate. And I found, I lost weight, but I also lost muscle. So I started doing this, and I lost 80 pounds pretty quick that first year. I went from, 285 down to 200 doing low carb. Like I said, 20 grams of carbs. Most of my carbs came from either broccoli, cauliflower, or almonds. And that was about it. And still mostly meat, but I was doing supplements then, a lot of whey proteins and pre-workouts and all that kind of stuff too. And a leaner meats more often. I had eggs, but I wasn't eating a ton of red meat back then. So fast forward, and, I did that, and I've stayed in great shape doing that and felt pretty good. Actually, really good. But then it's almost it'll be 5 years here next week that I started 100% carnivore. But how I found that is my son, who at that time was, he had suffered from migraines since he was like 4 years old. Of course, we looked into lots of different things, and he was taking some certain medications and stuff that seemed to help for a period of time and then didn't. And of course, and then you read, there's supposedly these trigger foods. So we tried some of that, we take him off anything with MSG in it or any of that. It would work at least temporarily and stuff. But, all this time that I'm eating this low carb diet, I'm not thinking about making him do it. He was, in good shape. He's a very lean kid then, So he didn't eat the same as I did all those years. But then he started having more issues with his gut. And the migraines were getting worse and worse also. But then we went to a gastroenterologist. They found he had gotten a blood test done because we were trying to figure out what was causing his stomach issues. Whether it was something was stressing him, and they found that his vitamin B was super low, like 300, which is very low for, an 18-year, 19-year-old. And so it was a concern. And that's when I started learning about how bad that can be. When you get low, some of the cognitive issues, they can be, permanent on him, and he wasn't there yet, but he was obviously, he was eating a diet where it shouldn't have been that low. So then they sent us to the gastro, and then they did MRI and stuff and said he had Crohn's. So we go there, and he wants to put him on medication. And I asked the doctor, I said, well, is there any diet recommendations or any? He goes, nope, nothing. Diet will have no effect on it whatsoever, which made zero sense to me at the time. I'm like, okay. I mean, he's an older guy, older doctor. Obviously he was overweight and whatever, but that here nor there. But so we're doing that for a little while and he's not really doing any better. So I start looking into more stuff and, I found some stuff on carnivore diet. Lots of people found, the carnivore diet over the last 5 years, Sean Baker, Kevin Stock, Dr. Kevin Stock, Dr. Baker. What was the other lady that was doing it? I can't think of her name. But
Sean,
right? No, it was the one who started the keto con and stuff. I can't. Yeah.
Teddy Hogan?
No.
No, right. Anyway.
But we won't. Yeah, we won't. I'll probably remember later and bring it up. I'm sorry, I'm not giving her the credit she's probably due for helping, having the starting for helping my son, get started, because I printed out her guidance for starting the carnivore diet, and that's where he started. But then I had found, and Sean was then doing the Human Performance Outliers podcast with Zach, and they had somebody on it with Crohn's. They had that other lady from Germany who was treating people for migraines, and I saw all that, so I'm like, this makes sense for him to try this, and I'm like, I'm not far from this already, and I'm seeing what Sean's doing, and and me personally, I probably related more to Kevin Stock, more his bodybuilding type of thing, even though I was closer to age to Sean than Kevin, but them together and what they were doing, this makes sense. I want to try this too. But first I got Brandon on it and did it, and he showed some positive effects right away. He put on, and we hear lots, and you've seen it probably, lots of people come to this wanting to lose weight. Well, he was undersized, and it got him to a healthy weight. His stomach stuff went away. The migraines, wow, it was different. And I'd like to say he's still doing it, but he's not right now. But it did seem to, he doesn't seem to have any more of the stomach issues. So that hasn't returned, and I'm not sure why that is right now. He's not around. He's in Ohio right now, so I don't see him every day or very often because he's 3,000 miles away. But he says he's still trying to eat meat more often than not, and seems to do all right. But he did stay pretty consistent for that first year, and it seemed to make a huge difference for him. And so, but I switched immediately, and in that first month, it was weird. Like I said, I was already feeling great. I was in great shape. Physically, I worked out 7 days a week. My recovery was great then. I still had some shoulder issues, and I just thought that was part of playing football and working out since I was 15 years old, and wrestling and all those things. Because I was still playing football when I started, not the carnivore diet, but when I started the low carb. And until I played semi-pro until I was 43. So I just thought the shoulder stuff was just from, abuse. And it was just going to be part of my life forever. I just had to work around it. Or if surgery was going to fix it or something. But it never bothered me enough to even get to that point yet. So that, and so within that first month, that was the biggest thing, is that shoulder issue went away within 2 weeks. Just giving up that vegetables and almonds. And then of course, I was still, that first month, I went from 8 meals a day with my protein supplements, and that's counting whey protein supplements and stuff. I was probably eating about 350 grams of protein a day, more moderate, lower fat, maybe 90 grams, which is high for some, but it's more of a moderate amount because I'm eating, chicken breast or maybe leaner ground beef and eggs and egg whites along with the whey protein. And so that first month, I got rid of all the supplements, which was another thing I liked about the idea of that. But I've always been, the mentality, you had that protein timing and multiple small meals a day. And like I said, I've been doing that for years and years and years. So I cut it to 3 meals that first month. And I was having eggs and ground beef for breakfast, chicken thighs for lunch, and then I started eating more steak for dinner. And I was doing 3 meals a day. And I was losing weight and eating about 800 to 1,000 more calories a day. So, I mean, I was up a little bit because it was the first of the year, and I probably let myself slip a little bit over the holidays, which I did at times, and I still, once in a great while, very rarely, will have something off, not on the carnivore diet, but we're talking less than once a year probably. But back then I might probably get it slightly more, but only slightly. But yeah, so that was what I was doing that first month. And like I said, the shoulder issue went away within 2 weeks. And allergies got better. I even felt more alert. My workouts were even better, and they were great already. I mean, it's hard to explain because I was already working out. When I met my wife, we started working out 7 days a week. And, so we could see each other because we met at the gym. So it was an excuse to even go to the gym more. So I talked to her and get to know her more. And so we had already switched. So, and it was, and I was able to. And and I know that, and most people, I work out 7 days a week, and I would never recommend or tell anybody they have to do that. I'm just capable of doing it. And I believe it's because of the way I eat and my sleep and hydration and those things all matter. But so I was still better in the cognitive. I was even more alert, all those things. And again, like I said, they were already, and it's just so much better. And maybe as I'm getting older, I want to feel good as much as possible and every day. So I'm stricter because of that. So that's what I was doing that first month. And then it just gradually led to basically 2 meals a day, almost exclusively steak, mostly strip steak. And then I would have ribeyes on the weekends. And right now, and that was I did basically that for about 4 years. And, I stayed pretty lean, probably within 10 to 12% body fat. I've been leaner at times when I try, I've adjusted. And that's without really tracking. That's just eating to my cues, hunger cues and stuff. So that's why I do it. That's how I got started. And that's where I'm at now.
That's amazing. I wonder if that female was Judy Cho, but anyway,
yeah.
we'll get to that name later. Amazing about your shoulder getting better within 2 weeks, which is one of those things that's amazing. The most amazing thing there was tons of amazing stuff in what you just said, but it's gobsmacking for me is a doctor can actually say that what you eat does not make a difference to a digestive issue. Yeah. That is ridiculous.
It is crazy. It really is. And one of the things I didn't say earlier, which, and I'm sure, and lots of people have said that, and I've said, I wish I found this sooner, but I also wish I would have found even the low carb way I was eating even sooner, because I spent my 20s just getting bigger and bigger. And, I could still play football at a high level and stuff, but I wasn't in my best shape, and it would take me all kinds of time to recover. But what was weird is one of the migraine medicines that worked the best for my son was actually epilepsy medicine. He took it at a much lower dose, and I knew keto was, used for, epilepsy in kids, but it didn't register. It's like all those years I could have been thinking I could be feeding him the same thing I'm eating, and it probably would have helped him so much.
No, it's frustrating. I'm the same as you. I mean, I'm 60 this year, and I wish I'd known about this when I was 20, 30, 40. Yeah. Anyway, here I am.
And I just turned 54, earlier this month, and my wife turns 54, and she's now totally strict too. And it's made wonders for her too, even though she's always been a healthy eater and disciplined. And
Well, let's get a definition on what you mean by strict, because there will be people that are thinking about carnivore, never done carnivore. What do you deem as strict?
meat and maybe some eggs. Add dairy. I don't think dairy helps anybody. But first we'll start with, for me, it's mostly red meat. I do eat, once in a while I'll have something. I also have some eggs, but that's usually if I'm out at the Brazilian steakhouse. I might have one of each of a piece of the chicken or the pork. But me, it's red meat. With my wife, who now has been strict since July, for her, it's a little more variety, but it's still eggs, steak, ground beef, and she'll have some chicken and fish in there. And some pork. But, me, it's red meat. I eat red meat every day.
Yeah.
Just ground beef or New York strips really is what I'm eating now. And to me, that's the best. I mean, do you have to be that strict? Maybe not. But I think if you want to feel your best, I think that's where most people will do their best.
Yes.
And my wife, before that, she had been, and I would tell people she was carnivore, and when we met and stuff, and she'd been on the Meat RX too a few times. She would have an apple or some fruit. And then once in a while she would go nuts on some, more on vegetables and stuff. And then she wouldn't feel good, but she didn't perceive that. So she was having some other stuff going on that I won't get specific in because it's not my place. Maybe someday she'll want to talk about all these things too, because what she's done over the last 5 months, just getting rid of any kind of fruit or vegetable or any other thing, she's lost 15 pounds that but what really is, she's more defined, more filled out. And she turns 54 in a month. I mean, I'd kill for her abs, but, and she can work out like I do. And we both, it's such a part of our life, but she just feels so much better physically and mentally, just getting rid of that little bit too. And she didn't think that much. I mean, she was doing what I consider like Joe Rogan carnivore diet, with an apple or two or a little bit of fruit or, added in there. And now she's not. She's gotten rid of all that stuff. And she's seen the difference too. And it was kind of hard to, convince her that I think this little bit can make a difference. And I really do believe that.
Yeah.
And so
I believe that as well. And I think when I'm coaching people, I think the thing is, when you first start carnivore, or even if someone's completely new, goes low carb, keto, carnivore, continually on that journey, you feel better and better and better. And because you've got no frame of reference, and I did this, I did low carb and I thought, wow, this is it. This is so about what I was doing. Then you hear influencers or you hear people like yourself being interviewed and you think, they sound a bit like me. Maybe I should try keto. Maybe I should cut the carbs out. And it is slow for people to get to carnivore. And I get this all the time because I try to cater for everybody. So I did a video about a carnivore bread. And someone said, this is not, they're very militant. This is what worries me.
Yeah.
Don't be militant about it. Yeah, I get why you're passionate. But what was strange was he said, this is in no way carnivore. Well, the ingredients for this bread were beef, eggs, and butter. So how strict do you want to be? Now, it wasn't, and I said to him, it's not a lump of steak, and I get that. But for some people who are transitioning, it's not bad ingredients. It's still
no
ingredients.
And I do sound, I realize how I sound, but still, if somebody's asking me, I'm going to say, this is what I think you should do. But again, you've got to look into this stuff. You need to start where you're comfortable, where something makes sense to you. And then hopefully you'll get it to that point over time. Because like I said, people see how long I've done it, how strict I've been, but that didn't happen overnight. I built to that. I mean, other things happen. It's just, I just discovered this stuff a lot sooner than a lot of people I talk to now. But it's still, none of it was easy 100% of the time or any of those things. And those things made sense to me then. Just like I mean, as much as I wish I would have found 100% carnivore earlier, who knows if I would have been willing to do that then. Maybe I was just at the right place then, along with trying to help my son. And I was just at the perfect spot to take that in and make that switch. Plus what I already knew from eating an animal-based diet and how good I thought that was and how much sense it made to me. But until but if you go to this and you think I can't, or, and again, when I give advice, if somebody asks the question and they're eating this, and I tell them, well, maybe you should stop eating that. I'm not being militant. You ask for advice, I'm going to tell you what I think. Now, if you want to or not, that's up to you. You can eat whatever you want, and that's how, Dr. Baker is too. He's going to tell you what he thinks and what he thinks might be best, but he's not, he's even less militant, or way less militant than even I am, because he's pretty open to people doing whatever. I'm more strong and saying, no, you probably should do this. If you really want to feel good, do this, but this. It's the same when people want to say, don't trust the doctor. Again, if you're not knowledgeable enough to talk to your doctor about something in the first place, then you can't get on them about it. Now, if you learned and you have a certain opinion and something you thought, and you want to discuss it with the doctor, and now he's not willing to listen, then yeah, you want to go somewhere else. He isn't the right person for you, or she. But again, you've got to start where it makes sense for you, and then you'll probably get there, and everybody gets there at a different pace. I've got multiple people at work that I've converted. Our one sales guy, about the same time I converted Brandon, my son, I got with him. He was having some issues, health and, depression, couldn't get up on time for work and just couldn't do all these things. So I sent him some stuff and said, I think this might help you. And it has. And he's still doing it. Seems to be 99% of the time. I don't ever see him not eating eggs or ground beef. He's not late to work. He's early to work. He's awake. He's happier. He's just everything. And he's not a workout guy like me or anything else. We talk about it. And now finally, also at work, president of my company and my buddy, and we've known each other for over 25 years. We've been working in the same company and we were roommates for a little while. And he's had some hard things which were genetic and born with. They weren't, but he had gotten very overweight and doesn't take care of himself. He's never been somebody who works out and stuff. And he's now doing all that. He's lost, what did he tell me yesterday, 40 or 50 pounds now in less than 6 months here. And he was eating mostly carnivore. He's still eating mostly meat-based. But he does have some of that stuff. And I still give him a hard time about it because we aren't that close where I can yell at him, and he's used to me just yelling at him. He's a good sport about it, But I've been talking about it to him for, forever, 20 years or more, trying to get him to do. And he's finally at that point, and now he's actually even going to the gym, and him and his wife, and they're working out. And and like I told him, I said, diet's everything. And this is coming from somebody who works out 7 days a week. But without diet, it does not matter. None of the health. Diet is number one on my list. I don't care what anybody else says. I don't care how hard you work out. I don't care about all these new little hacks of grounding and wedges, and those are all fine. But if your diet's not right, those things are going to make almost zero difference. Once you get healthy, then those things will probably even, and don't get me wrong, I've seen this. I believe the cold plunge has some benefit, but I'm not doing it because I hate being cold. As Rogan would probably say, I'm just scared, and, maybe he could talk me into it if I was there with him, but I'm not. But again, that's what matters for weight loss, adding muscle, all those things. Of course, you got to work out to add muscle. I don't care who you are, but to lose weight, or to lose fat, I should say, to feel better, diet is number one first, and then he's feeling it. And I think the better he feels, more consistent he stays with going to the gym. He doesn't work out like I do. He does the treadmill a little bit. He might do a station, but he's in there doing and moving now, and he's moving more, and he's doing great. And he's still got a ways to go, but he's just doing so fantastic. And I've converted my mom. She's been doing the carnivore diet since earlier this year. I think she's still doing it. I haven't, any of them could have stopped, within the last couple of weeks they talked. So I have to be careful. But, last time I knew she was still doing it, and she had been losing some weight, and she's always had issues. And, but I think it helps with her arthritis and her, she's had bad arthritis. She's had both her knees replaced and all these things. But I think it, it's helped her with a lot of that. And I think those are where the most important things are, with those inflammation, the arthritis, and even, and I know a lot of people do this to lose weight, and I think it will help you if you're overweight. I think it'll get you to a healthy weight. If you're following it in hunger cues and you're not doing a lot of dairy and stuff, it will get you to a healthy weight. Will it get you ripped up? Will it? Probably not. If you weren't already naturally going to be that way, it's not. It's not that you won't or can't. You're just going to have, like all of it, you may have to take it to a different level, but you also have to think, all right, is this about health now or how I look? Like I said with my son, and I think this happens with other people too, is it also, if you're underweight, if you're eating this way, it'll get you to a healthy weight the other way. Will it make you as big as you want to be? Maybe not, because, other people like that are smaller, like my son or something, they want to be bigger. That's what they care about. They see small, even if that means even putting on a little extra, even a little bit of fat or something. They didn't like being too small. Now they want to go, just like people that have been big all the time. They want to get down, down, down. And then of course you want to maybe get ripped and have abs. And that's a whole different level of, thing. Like even, I've done it times where and if you look at like even bodybuilders, they're doing something extreme, and it's probably not healthy. To step on stage is not healthy. And I know you would I think I didn't see the whole thing when you had Keto Savage on. He does it about as healthy as I think you can do it to step on stage. And he's still probably, when he's getting on stage at that super low body fat, that's not healthy. He's just slowing down the damage because of the way he's doing it, just like Zach Bitter does with his 100-mile race. He said a million times, this isn't healthy. To be able to do 100-mile races is not good for your body. It's not healthy in any way. But he thinks eating a low carb and doing these things, well, slow down the damage that he's doing to himself.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I love what you just said there. It's a beautiful answer, actually, because talk about your mum and your friends at work and your son. People have got to be ready to do this. And sadly, not being down on your mum, but, you get to arthritis or you're a little bit overweight. Sadly, for some people, it takes those issues or your friend at work, putting on a lot of weight and the health going south. That is the push they need to be ready to say, right, okay, whatever I'm doing is not good. So what you're doing seems to work. I'm going to try it. And that's the thing. I don't think anyone should ever jump into this or be pushed. I think, slowly transitioning in is a great way of doing it. Yeah. The thing about your wife that I picked up on is there are also people that believe, well, that banana's not going to really hurt me. That apple's not really going to hurt me. And the only way you actually find that out is to not have them for a bit. And then you think, wow, that probably did hurt me a bit. So I think that was a fabulous answer. It just ticks so many boxes of all the questions I wanted to ask. And I get what you said about the extreme, because that is also the issue. Because if you come to it, like I said, low carb, keto, then you go carnivore, which, let's be honest, is pretty extreme in the first place, carnivore for most people. Yeah. You then get a little bit obsessed with this feeling so good and looking so good and losing body fat in a way which is is not that difficult compared to, calorie restriction and insane amounts of cardio. And then you think, wow, can I get to look like Keto Savage, for instance? And I think the extreme people who are really good influencers admit, yeah, aesthetically this looks good, or running 100 miles sounds amazing, but actually for your health, it's a bit much. And I think I think, you got to temper it to what suits you. And this is what I've learned. I don't think there's a right answer for everybody. There's not one right answer. It's where you're comfortable, when you're ready. How you want to be is the most important thing. Your why. So if you're out there watching this and thinking, well, I don't want to be in the gym 7 days a week, that's not what Rich is saying. No. He wants to. Carnivore gives you the option. That's the thing. You can decide to do 3 times in a week or no times in a week. But the diet, and this is what I really loved about the answer, that is the key to everything else. Once the diet is right, then you can make the choice. How fit, healthy, muscular do I want to be? Well, actually, I don't want to be muscular. I just want to feel like I feel. And you can be carnivore and you don't have to work out. You don't have to. But it does seem to be the thing that spontaneously people start to want to do. And this is the weirdest thing. I'm in a personal training for 15 years. And getting people to work out used to be difficult. When I believed in high carb, it was, oh, not again. And I would have clients say to me, oh, Monday, oh, we're working out Monday. Oh, I don't want to do that. I've never heard that attitude on carnivore. And I've had people who have said to me, I've never wanted to work out before in my life. I've never wanted to exercise, but I really fancy trying it. So that's down to diet. I really do think it's making a difference, even in that way.
Yeah, and just feeling good and doing. Yeah, and again, to me, I still think resistance training is important. I think everybody should do some kind of resistance training and get out and move and stuff. But yeah, and no, I work out 7 days a week because I love it, and of course, and that's what my wife and I love to do. And we do it every day. And and if we were tired, we would take a day off, or, I haven't in a long time, and I'm lucky I can do that. I still make progress. I still feel good, but I'd never tell anybody that they need to do any of those things. But I do think you should do a couple days a week, even if it's just body weight movements and going for a couple mile walk.